and let us all do we can to build a better future.
All right. I'm going to talk about the situation with the Titanic submarine. All right. Now, the company's called OceanGate Expeditions, and I have a couple of videos and articles in regards to talking about it. And this is a very frightening situation. And the individuals that did get on this submarine spent about $250,000 on this experimental submarine. That's right, you heard it. It's experimental, and I will play just a few short minutes of a video of one person giving their analysis. I want to give a shout out to my colleague Daniel Lupker for sharing that video with me, and I'll only be playing 10 minutes of it, but in those 10 minutes, it's very revealing on what kind of danger you're putting yourself in by going into an experimental submarine that might not work properly. And in all reality, I hope that these people get out of this thing alive, but the prognosis isn't looking good. So let's play it. Let's first pull up this article from RT, just to trigger the vote blue no matter who, people. U.S. ships are searching for a mini submarine that was visiting the famous shipwreck, also known as the Titanic. A deep-sea submersible has disappeared near the wreck of the RMS Titanic, and search operations are underway to rescue the crew, the company OceanGate Expedition said on Monday. The U.S. Coast Guard told BBC on Monday morning that a search and rescue operation was being mounted in the North Atlantic Ocean. OceanGate later confirmed the disappearance of one of its vessels. We're exploring and mobilizing all options to bring the crew back safely. The company sent a statement. Our entire focus is on crew members in the submersible and their families. We're working toward a safe return of the crew members. Now, Monday when this happened, they had about 90 hours of oxygen. Time is running out. It was unclear how many people were on board the Titan. At least, again, this article is from Monday, but it's been confirmed that there's 5 individuals on it. And again, the price tag, $250,000 to get on the trip to see the Titanic. Now, how deep is the Titanic? Where is it at? I want to play this video. I will keep it on mute, though. But it's kind of scary. Now, again, there has been an update that they are hearing noises, probably banging on the submarine hull from the inside, and it's helping rescuers find their location. And I do hope that everyone is able to get out of this nightmare scenario alive in one piece. But this is a huge, scary situation, which once again confirms to me why I like standing on dry land. So there you go. Average depth. There's Lake Victoria, Yellow Sea, Persian Gulf, Baltic Sea, Lake Victoria, Persian Gulf, Maxim. R.I.P. Lusitania. Hey, Lady Liberty herself. Continuing on, there's Lake Superior, the Yellow Sea, the Caspian Sea depth, the USS George Washington, the test depth. Oh, Patty, the Eiffel Tower. How lovely. Again, that's the deepest a person's gone. Continuing on, Lake Superior, maximum depth, Baltic Sea, the Red Sea. Continuing on further, Typhoon-class submarine. We're barely there to the depth of where the Titanic is at, folks. Special guest, the world's tallest building, for the time being. Continuing on, we're not even halfway there. Going further, Mediterranean Sea. Not even there yet, folks. We're nowhere near the depth of the Titanic. Hey, the Caribbean Sea. Average depth. Oh, look, another lovely oil platform. We're not even there yet. Getting closer. Getting closer. There's the Titanic. Hold on. That's where they're at. That's how far deep they are. That's where the Titanic is at. And this is, again, an experimental submarine. Now, again, the video is going to keep on going further downward because, hey, it just only gets deeper. But that's where the RMS Titanic is at, the shipwreck of the great Titanic. I want to pull up this video here. Now, this is from a YouTube channel called Subbrief, and it talks in detail about the submarine's tragedy. So I'll only play about 10 minutes of it, but this analysis and breakdown of OceanGate and the type of submarine that these people got into, it would be raising alarm bells in my head because you cannot pay me enough, not even $250K to get into this submarine.
Hello and welcome to the OceanGate Expeditions Update. My name is Aaron. I am the CEO and founder of Subbrief. I am a 20-year submarine veteran from the United States Navy Submarine Force and a subject matter expert in submarines. I'm here to give you my opinion on what happened with this Titan tragedy today. So the OceanGate Expedition is a manned submarine transport company that leverages college graduate engineers with off-the-shelf technology for cost-effective subsea research.
Already, that's a recipe for disaster. And this is nothing against college students, but look, you need to have senior people who have operated submarines. I mean, talking to someone who's operated submarines for 30 plus years, that's like talking to a unicorn, okay? They're very rare. Off-the-shelf technology. This isn't good.
On Sunday, June 18th, 2023, OceanGate suffered loss of communication with their Titan submarine, a deep diving Cyclops class. Titan was designed to take up to 5 people to the Titanic wreck site and other deep water locations. As the Titan descended with its crew of 5 to the Titanic wreck, an hour and 40 minutes into the dive, communication with the submersible was lost. This is about the same time that she was scheduled to drop ballast and touch bottom at near the 2-hour mark. So those may be connected. We're not sure yet. Loss of communication with the vessel below 3,000 meters is not uncommon. It's a non-zero chance of happening.
3,000 meters. Now, again, the Titanic is at 3,700 meters from that previous video that I played. And folks, from that small animation that I shared with all of you, that's pretty goddamn deep. I hope that some rescue can be achieved. But I was speaking with Daniel yesterday evening, and he just gave me his blunt analysis. If they're not dead already, they're going to be. It's a terrible way to go.
As it happened during testing. So it was not unexpected. So
hashtag White Gladys had nothing to do with this. Okay. I know we're all Team Orca, but the Orcas didn't do this. Or did they? Or did they?
As the hours passed on June 18th, 2023, communication was not reestablished during the 10-hour dive. After approximately 12 hours, the topside support team on the ship Polar Prince contacted the U.S. Coast Guard at 9:13 p.m. to report loss of contact with their vessel. That's a summary of what happened. So in this video, I'm going to describe to you vessel construction, the systems that they have on board, the concerns that I have about the design, about its experimental build. And first, a disclaimer from OceanGate's expedition. Listen to this.
Experimental submersible.
Okay, now hold on, folks. This is one of the people who runs the company. Again, you signed these waivers. I signed a waiver similar to this a long time ago. No, I did not get a submersible. I went skydiving. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. One and done. I won't do that ever again because I'll never forget it. We get in the airplane, and this plane is completely racking about. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I got to jump out of this plane. I'd rather jump out of this airplane right now than stay in it 1 minute longer. That's how much of a disaster that airplane was. So there we go. I was safer jumping out of the plane than staying in that plane. And that's just my own personal opinion. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But you sign a waiver like that. And these 5 individuals paid $250,000 for, again, listen very carefully.
Submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death.
I hope you heard all of that.
Where do I sign?
Where do I sign, right? So OceanGate Expedition Waiver explains just how experimental this design is. It's not registered or certified by any agency or the Coast Guard, like some of their other submarines actually are. This one is not. This is like an experimental plane, but it's a submarine in this case. And it spells out the dangers in writing for everybody on board, and that you may die if you ride on board this submersible. It says it right there in the waiver. So let's talk about the data sheet that they have. This is from the OceanGate website. The Titan is a 21,000 pound, 22 foot long, electrically driven submarine for 5 people. The test depth is calculated to be 4,000 meters. And this is kind of key because right now this is just the naval architect engineering calculating the strength of the pressure vessel without an actual dynamic test at sea.
And also, again, experimental and haven't been approved by any other regulatory body. See, this is why you kind of do need regulations. But, folks, it gets worse. It gets worse. Now, look, again, I'm not a submarine expert, but this already has red flags going on in my head. That $250K could have been spent on something far, far better and uplifting your fellow human. But no.
This point, 4,000 meters. It is built of 5 inches of carbon fiber with a titanium hatch glued on the bow and a steel or titanium dome on the aft. It has 96 hours of life support, which is very vague. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Sensors and systems on board are built and produced by Teledyne BlueView. They have the 2D sonar and the Doppler velocity INS, which is inertial navigation system that is upgraded with the ultra short baseline, which means it's very accurate at calculating motion while submerged. And this system, I know, is very good. I have no questions about the Teledyne equipment. It's probably the best thing on this thing that actually works. All right, so here's the pressure hull under construction. As you can see, it's just a carbon fiber weave that is just loomed left and right until it becomes 5 inches thick. It's a carbon fiber wrap that's designed to withstand the pressures of 4,000 meters of sea depth. Here is a video of it being, of the titanium hatch rings being installed on one of the ends. Watch this. That's the adhesive right there. Think of it like a very thick glue. It's going to bond the titanium ring that you see there onto the carbon fiber pressure hull. And they only get one chance to do this because once it's on, that bonding agent adheres. And it's not coming back off again after this. So they very carefully line it up. It looks like they got it right. So good job getting the hatch rings on. This is going to go on both sides, the forward bow and the aft section. Here's what the aft section looks like. The aft section, simply an aft dome that is placed on that titanium ring. On the front, there is an access hatch that we'll show you here in a second. But now I want you to watch this short interview that the CEO of OceanGate, Mr. Stockton Rush, had with Teledyne Marine representatives. Teledyne Marine are making the sonar systems and inertial navigation systems for this vessel. But listen to what he talks about. The CEO talks about hiring people.
Okay. Now, again, when you're operating this kind of advanced technology, you need the best in the field. On the one hand, I don't know what this CEO is talking about because he wants to inspire others. And it's okay to inspire others. But if you're going to be operating submersible technology You want people who've been in the business or who have had military training for 30 plus years, because this right here, again, is a recipe for disaster.
Yes, I mean, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology, but a 25-year-old, who's a sub pilot or a platform.
Okay, you also real quick, again, look at this person who has this little Xbox PlayStation like controller. Just remember that. Just remember what she has in her hands.
Platform operator, one of our techs, can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to get very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved, because we're doing things that are completely new. We're taking approaches that are used largely in the aerospace industry, is related to safety and some of the preponderance of checklists, things we do for risk assessments and things like that are more aviation related than ocean related. And we can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game.
Hold on. I hope you heard that. This is why there's probably a disaster happening right there, because they trained somebody and they probably had a very safe, controlling environment in which they could, get that person up and ready to go to help out whoever wants to pay $250,000 for a potential self-delete yourself mission to see the Titanic. Just watch Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic. Spoiler alert, everyone, if you haven't seen it. The boat sinks. Hashtag unsubscribe from Hard Lens Media. But hold on. I'm going to rewind it back just a little bit, because you need to listen to a very important word about the controller.
That are more aviation related than ocean related. And we can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller.
Game controller! Now, yes, a game controller can be used for a lot of things, but it's also a wireless game controller. Jesus effing Christ!
So anybody can drive the sub.
All right, so Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, avoided hiring submarine veterans because we're 50-year-old white men like myself and would not inspire young people. And that's a valid reason. I wouldn't expect, say, the young teenage generation to look up to me and be like, I want to be like that guy. I kind of get that. But also, you don't want to just only hire young college graduates that you would then train to inspire the next generation. You have to have subject matter experts at some point in the chain. And I'm not talking about the vice admiral that's on the board of directors. We're not even going to talk about him. He's a retired Coast Guard admiral, served, honorably, no problems there. But you don't seem to have a subject matter expert that's from the submarine community that could maybe talk about some of the problems that we're going to go over today. Just some things that I've seen just from your promotional videos on your site. The team included technicians that threw a hammer in college was his qualification, besides being a college graduate. Another college graduate was a surfer. He hired him on because he enjoyed his surfing stories, I guess.
Boogie down.
I don't know. But the idea was to train these young college graduates in operating the submarine with a game controller. Let's take a look at this game controller. It's a PlayStation 3 wireless controller.
Now, for those of you who don't play video games, sometimes a wireless controller, its battery can die or there's no signal. Then, your character's dying. What could possibly, say it with me, folks, what could possibly go wrong? Apparently a lot.
I really don't have a problem with it being a PlayStation controller. It could be any kind of controller that they want. I really have a problem with it being wireless. You don't want to control your submarine with a wireless connection. Like, what happens if the batteries die? Do you have a...
Exactly. Precisely and exactly. What happens if the batteries die?
Extra set? Do you always put fresh batteries in on every dive? Did you bring extra batteries? Is there a USB port where in a pinch you could plug the controller?
I also want to give a shout out to my audience because, again, he mentions the USB port, and I want to make sure I get this correct. Who said it? Who said this? Who said it? I want to get the chat before we go. Here we go. Where's it at? Where's it at? Somebody wrote it. Somebody wrote it. Ah, Mastermind Hour. Who forgot to throw a USB cord in the sub? Precisely.
Into whatever system you have there and actually control, or does it have to maintain a Bluetooth connection? Did you bring a spare? And does that spare sync properly if the primary controller doesn't work?
What could possibly go wrong? Salty Digital Dive. Killed by PlayStation 3 controller. No way. Death by PlayStation. What a horrible way to die.
Like, are these things that they thought about? I hope so. We don't know. They've only shown this one. All right, so let's talk about access. This is the bow or the front of the Titan. And the only way in and out of the submarine is through this forward hatch that is held on by 17 bolts. There is no other egress. There's no other way out of the submarine other than through the 17 bolted hatch. And there's no way to open it from the inside. You can't undo the bolts from the inside or swing the hatch open. You are completely dependent on the surface support vessel topside whenever you get in this thing, that they're going to let you back out before your 96 hours of air runs out. So he talks about taking examples and learning lessons from the aviation community. Well, one of the worst non-flight disasters in NASA history was from the Apollo 1, where 3 astronauts lost their lives doing a systems check on the launch pad while they were bolted into their capsule. There was a fire that started in there. They were alive when the fire started. They reported it to the control center, said, "Get us out of here, get us out of here. There's a fire." And before they could get the bolts off, the astronauts had passed away. This is a very important lesson learned that apparently Stockton didn't learn from, or at least.
And we're going to stop there because the video continues to go on. Again, I'm going to post the YouTube link in the live stream chat so all of you can share it as well. This is a disaster that could have easily been avoided. I want to pull up again the video where we're seeing the depth of where the Titanic is at. And in comparison, going all the way back to the nice little sunny shore. There we are. Everyone's at the beach. Not even halfway there. And there's the RMS Titanic. Nightmare fuel through and through. I want to pull up this video from the BBC that my colleague Daniel was able to share with me. Again, the only update that we have right now is that they're hearing noises and they approximately have about 30 hours left of air.
Now, within the past hour, it's been confirmed that banging sounds have been heard from the area in the North Atlantic where the tourist submersible disappeared. Earlier, American and Canadian officials said the efforts to find the sub near the Titanic wreck is intensifying as the 5 people on board are believed to have just over a day's supply of oxygen left. Heavy equipment and private companies capable of launching deep-sea rescue operations are being deployed. Our North America correspondent Nomia Iqbal reports from Newfoundland.
These are the last known pictures of the Titan submersible. It began its long descent to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean on Sunday before vanishing without a trace. Last year, the BBC filmed the vessel. It's made for 5 people and can't be opened within, so if anything goes wrong, it has to be found. And with just more than a day and a half left of oxygen inside the vessel, the rescue mission's urgency can't be overstated.
It's a unique operation. It's a challenging operation, but right now we're focused on putting everything we can at it and searching as hard as we can and getting the assets out there as quickly as we can.
There are 3 British people trapped inside: the billionaire explorer Hamish Harding, businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his 19-year-old son Suleiman.
He had the enthusiasm.
So, yes, this is what we have right now. This is what we're witnessing firsthand. I don't know if they'll get there in time. And with the amount of technical errors with the submarine, there could probably be a whole bunch of other issues at play. If it's truly paralyzed and unable to operate, there might be some other issues in which those 5 people are going to have to deal with. This is something I don't wish on anybody, to be stuck at the bottom of the ocean with a submarine that operates with a wireless PlayStation controller. Things that could go wrong. How could they go wrong? When someone decided to hire, again, people who are not expertise or veterans in the field, cutting corners, possibly. And again, a horrific death waiting for anyone that will be risking their lives to spend $250,000 on a ticket to see the rusted hull remains of the RMS Titanic. I do hope that there's a positive ending to this nightmare story, but I want to throw the ball to you, my viewing audience. Let's have democracy in the chat. If you had $250,000, type 1 if you would go ahead and see the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean. Like, yeah, kid, it's an adventure. Woo! Let's see the Titanic, the bottom of the ocean, an experimental submarine. Woo! Type 2, no, man, I could think of a billion other things to do with that $250K. I'm not going to the bottom of the ocean. The ocean's scary. That's White Gladys's territory. And I don't want smoke with White Gladys.